Greetings and welcome, everybody, to the Beers and Bodyslams podcast. Sitting across from me is the body model for the baby new year. Sorry, Mr. Fluffy.
That's so funny because your intro has got involved the baby new year also. That's hysterical because it's January 1st.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Sitting across from me is the only man besides the baby new year that I ever want to see in a diaper.
Oh.
Irish.
I just came back from a long car ride. I wouldn't mind of having a diaper on.
Oh, I've had a few trips like that. I've had many a trip like that.
Not like that crazy NASA chick that wore the NASA diapers because she was driving from Texas to Florida. But she was
going to kill her boyfriend. That was completely different.
That's truth. Anyway, so hey, welcome, Happy New Year, everybody. Again, because of a scheduling issue, the week that we recorded these two shows, good old JB's out doing JB things, so he's not going to be joining us, but we will be back to full strength on Wednesday.
That's on Thursday.
Thursday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we record on Wednesday then.
Yeah,
sorry.
that's right.
Anyway, so he'll be back then, but today we're going to talk about some of the news and rumors we've been hearing about Vince and his evil plans for 2018.
That's right.
What is the evil architect?
No, that's Seth Rollins.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is the evil dictator? No, that was Hitler.
Or Stalin, whatever.
What is the corporate power? What was his name back in the day when he revealed himself to the Undertaker? The Undertaker was doing his bidding. He
was the oh crap.
You remember?
Yeah, it was the
ultimate power.
Ultimate power.
I'm the ultimate power.
Yeah.
I've got more power than God. Well, and then God was like, hang on a second. Watch this.
But he did wrestle God.
He did wrestle God to a 2 count.
That's right.
Speaking of, before we get too deep in the show, can I ask you a question?
What?
Did you see the news where WWE has gone out of its way to take away the this match is scheduled for one fall? One fall. Did you see where they apparently Vince doesn't like the one fall.
They're dumping it
thing,
out of the crowd?
And they're dubbing it out of the crowd, and they're trying to dissuade people from doing that.
I love that.
That's almost as sick and evil as, 2 when they go to a 2 count.
Yeah, I love one fall.
That's sad. So I'm going to take great passion every time that I go to a WWE event. I'm going to scream to the top of my lungs, one fall.
We got a good beer this week, though.
We don't have a good beer. We've got a great beer. We still need to do that. We're going to get into that and so much more when we come right
back.
Awesome!
This is the Beers and Bodyslams podcast.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
With your host, Mr. Fluffy.
Hello, ladies.
Good old JB.
Booty-O's. They make sure you ain't booty.
And the Irish O'Leary.
There's only one word to describe you, and I'm gonna spell it out for you. A-A-W-S-T.
This is the only podcast bringing you craft beer and pro wrestling that really matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, E-Generation X proudly brings to you its WWF Tag Team Champion of the World, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, the Badass Billy Gunn, the new.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
All right, Fluff, what are we drinking?
Figured we'd actually start the show properly.
I should probably do the same stuff there.
From Ommegang Brewing Company.
Ommegang.
From Cooperstown, New York. We have the next in their Game of Thrones theory. This is Winter Is Here, which is the double white ale. It is really good.
This is not like double white like Sheamus and Paige having a kid. That's clear.
That's clear. This is double white ale.
This is double white. So it's if you like white ales, this is double the white ale.
This is a 8.3%.
Sweet Jesus.
It is. She's a big one. She ain't playing around. 8.3 went wit, which is it's a really good European style.
It's like a Belgian wit.
Yeah, but it's a little bit lighter than a Belgian. It's not quite as heavy.
Yes.
Very cloudy. It has a very cloudy feel to it.
Pretty.
This would be a good beer. We always talk about pairings and stuff like that. This would be a good beer with like pork or chicken. I could definitely see that because it definitely has that ability to stand up to them but not be overwhelmed by them.
Yes.
It'd be good with pasta. Like this would be good with like a good carbonara. With the saltiness and the smokiness of a carbonara.
I'm getting hungry.
I understand that, but I was like, we've had a lot of dessert beers recently. If you look back at a few weeks, we've been apparently being fat guys recently because every beer we've had has been like chocolate and peanut butter and this and that.
It's
been,
the holidays.
It's been like crazy. So I'm glad and this is clean. For an 8.3, it's very clean.
Starting the new year off fresh and clean, everybody, with a nice beer. Yeah, this has got a great flavor.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this when we opened it. The thing about Ommegang, and when we Fluffy more so than any of us, we all prefer craft beers.
Yes.
And the thing, when you drink as much craft beer as we do, you start realizing that some craft beers are not the same.
Yeah.
You know, some of the craft beers, especially in the state that we live in, Florida, do not have the same body and complexity as maybe other beers, with the exception of a Florida Brewing Company. Even some of those are kind of hit and miss. Crooked Can is one of those. Funky Boot is definitely on the list. Cigar City has its own concerns with me personally, but for the most part, they have a great body and flavor complexity. You don't always find that. Ommegang always brings the heat.
Ommegang is one of those breweries where and it's sort of like with Funky and a couple other breweries I know of. Big Top's becoming that one for me out of Sarasota. Is I'm waiting for the clunker. Yeah. Like I really am. I mean, even for Funky, I found clunkers. Like I don't like their strawberry shortcake. I think their strawberry shortcake one is. I don't like that one. It's. But again,
well, you had a sick run-in with strawberry shortcake when you were a child.
So. What I'm saying is I have yet to have a Ommegang beer that I went, all right, that was okay, or well, I didn't like that one. They're all good. And since they started this Game of Thrones, which originally was supposed to be like 3 beers.
Right.
I think they're up to like 6 or 7 now. I've got this one, another one in the fridge.
Right.
Because apparently HBO was so thrilled with the response they got from the first couple that they started making more. And now they're just letting Ommegang run. And they're just letting them throw whatever they want. And not throw it, but they're letting them develop more beers based on their ideas.
Yeah, my first experience with Ommegang, especially with the Game of Thrones, was the Game of Thrones beer dinner we had over at Universal.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
And this is all newer stuff. Like I've got this one. I've got a Dragon and Fire one that's in there. But yeah, if you find any of these Game of Thrones beers, anything from Ommegang, number one, anything from Ommegang, period.
Yeah.
But if you definitely are a Game of Thrones fan or just like good beer, find these beers. They're very limited edition, though. Usually they're out for about 2 months, and then they're gone, and they do not make them again.
Yeah.
I think they had one they brought back, and then even that was short-lived. But they're pretty much, if you see them, buy them, because they're going to be gone within months. And they also put them in the big champagne bottles.
Yep.
With the cork, so it's not even a cap. So it makes it a more fun experience when you pop it off. So it is an interesting love.
Yeah, that's a good experience.
So, all right, so what we're talking about today is there's a lot of rumors coming into 18 of what Vince, not necessarily is planning, but steps he's taking to set up these plans. So we're going to kind of play the idea of where we think he's going, where we think this could be good, where we think this could be bad, and what we would like to see Vince do for this year to make the product better.
Right.
Behind the scenes. We're not going to talk about storylines. We're not going to talk about wrestlers per se.
Oh, that's crap. Yeah.
We're going to talk about the steps. So go ahead.
Where this started was the news story came out. So Christmas is always a weird time because there's not a lot of news stories. One of the news stories that hit the wires right before Christmas was that Vince had liquidated several
3 million.
Yeah.
3 million shares.
Like 3 million shares to the tune of like what? $100 million? Or 100 million shares to the tune of 300 million.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And trademarked XFL.
That and started, was it Anthem? No, not Anthem. God, now I can.
Victory.
This is bad podcasting once again.
Anyway, so Vince, as you look that up, Vince pulled out all this money, and then coincidentally, there was a trademark or registered name for XFL. There was a company that his LLC that he was bolstering that up, and it looks as if Vince is creating the ability to start another football league.
Yeah, Alpha Entertainment LLC. That's the company he created. And when he created the LLC, part of the provisions are entertainment and professional football.
Right.
And the rumor is he's going to bring back the XFL.
I saw that and I thought it was brilliant. If there was ever a time that the country was ready for another professional football league, now is it? It's now.
It's, and the thing with the XFL is people pick on the XFL, but the XFL has had a lasting impact.
Absolutely.
On the sport. The biggest impact people see every night on TV is the boom cam, the over-the-head wire cam.
Yeah, wire cam.
That started in the XFL.
That's right.
That was developed by NBC with another company for the XFL. The NFL had nothing like that. Now it's the standard view for their overhead stuff. They used to have boom stuff for that. And, it's the question of, this is where we've talked before, is we want Vince to find other interests. It's almost like, I feel like we're treating Vince like the child who has ADD, and he does something, let's say burns ants. I'm not saying this, but he burns ants. You got to find him other activities to do to get him off of burning ants.
Right.
So the XFL may be a bad thing, but it's going to pull his attention that way, which will hopefully make him realize he can't do the stuff on WWE does all the time.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And he may have to turn over more power to people like Stephanie and Triple H to run the show. But he is spreading his fingers out there now. The WWE Studios continues to pump out movies.
Yes.
And as much as we make fun of them, they make money.
They do.
On DVD, there's a reason there's a Marine 6 being filmed right now. It's not because they go, oh, we like throwing money away. It's because they would release them. They make tons of cash on DVD.
Yeah, they do. They're tons of cash. They're good write-off. They're a great way for him to cross-promote other wrestlers. There's the horror genre.
Yep.
They've had Bill Goldberg and Kane's been in them.
Yeah.
Paige and Miz are doing the Christmas movies. So there's a lot of opportunities for using the talent that you already have, finding new talent, of course, but being able to pump out a couple of movies every year. Yeah. It also is a great way to keep, former wrestlers in the fold.
Shawn Michaels. He's in the New Marine. He was in the movie before that with Willie Nelson, Country Heart or something like that.
Yeah, he's in Country Heart. He was also in the movie starring the guy from S.H.I.E.L.D., who was the the actor that got in trouble when he went and discovered Jesus in the church. And Shawn Michaels was the car guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of things there. It's really weird WWE producing a movie about God, but anyway.
Well,
I think all of these things are pointing to some directions that we all hope mean that there will be less hands-on day-to-day ops from Vince, which we all know his ego will dictate otherwise.
The thing is, and I want to say this up front, it's not that we hate Vince. It's just we've all admitted in the past, and I'll say it again, is Vince's ideas of what wrestling is today is not what we want anymore.
Right.
We want pretty much what Triple H is giving us in NXT,
right,
and some of the other stuff he's doing, and that's really what it is. We want substance over style side of thing.
I think a good way to state that is minimal storyline, because we all want to be vested, so there has to be some storyline.
Maximum action.
But we want maximum wrestling. We're wrestling fans because we're wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And I think the times that they've really pushed that, the smart marks have responded. Now, is that going to mean more ticket sales? Their ticket sales are down. Some of the touring dates have been cut because of poor ticket sales, but they're still making money.
But the thing is I don't look at that, and people take that the wrong way sometimes, is I don't look at that as a symptom of the WWE. Across the board, NASCAR, NBA, NFL, we're all having the same problem. People aren't going to these live events as much anymore.
Sure.
It's not a victim of anybody. It's just the culture we're in now where it's on demand. I can watch it on TV. My TV, ultra high def, looks sometimes better than the real life.
Oh, that's totally true.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying is that's, the idea of really going to this stuff used to be, I want to see it because on my TV it looks okay.
Well, that's where, maybe down the road, we're not really doing this in the structured form that we should, but maybe down the road, this is us.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road, this is one of those things where WWE can start looking at what NXT's done. Localized shows, and then when they go out and do the Warped tour over in UK, it's not the Warped tour, but the tour out in UK was huge. When they do the takeover shows, they're huge.
Yeah.
make it more of a spectacle. I've heard on one of the podcasts they're talking about like they go to each city twice a year.
Yeah.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah.
And absence does make the heart grow fonder.
Well, they need to. I honestly believe they need to go to smaller venues and back to. Okay, I'll use for example. I'll use where we live right now. We live in Orlando. They're coming. They're coming actually tomorrow to do SmackDown at the Amway
in Tampa. Yeah.
No. It's in Orlando. Oh no, they're in Miami on Monday. Tonight they're in Miami, and then tomorrow night they're here in Orlando for SmackDown on Tuesday night. But this is our third show in a year time frame.
They're going to Tampa.
And for a house show.
Oh, that's right, for a house show.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. And that's the other crew. That's the SmackDown crew because they're in.
Right.
Whereas you have these smaller arenas. You could play a Lakeland. You could play a Jacksonville. But they won't do that stuff anymore.
Right.
They really only are hitting like Miami, Tampa, Orlando,
right,
where they used to go to these littler, smaller venues.
Littler, nice word.
But you know what I'm saying, though? They used to make these venues special. Like you go to a Lakeland who has a decent little arena.
Sure.
And you could hack that place. If you do a Raw in Lakeland that holds, I think, 30,000, the place would be packed to the rafters.
It's a different
and
paradigm.
Loud.
It's a different paradigm.
Yeah.
And, is there prestige of going to Lakeland, Florida? No. I don't know, but Ring of Honor did it and killed, so what's it matter? So that's the wrestling side of it. I'm sure we'll jump back into it, but let's talk about the football piece. The football piece, I'll give my reasons why, but why do you think now is a perfect time for Vince to step into a football league?
Well, number one, it's the football, as much as football is taking a hit, football is still the number one sport in the country. And if he does it right and he does it alternatively to the NFL schedule, there is enough talent out there, and this is where it comes in, is there is so much talent out there right now that you could have competitive football. I think when he did it before, the talent level was not there to match his product.
I agree.
I think with the technology we have now and the level of players we have now, he can have guys that can be out there. They're almost NFL quality, if not NFL quality. The other thing that's happening is a lot of the guys that are coming into the NFL are realizing they're not making what they thought they were going to make because the rosters have become so top heavy with the superstars that you can say to them, okay, fine, you're making a league minimum of, let's say, $500,000. You come to us, you might make some more, but we're going to sell you more merchandise.
Right.
You're going to be more of a star. You're going to be more of a name instead of you making $500,000 and being on the bench.
Right.
And not being somebody. Plus, you can go into markets that don't currently have an NFL team.
Right.
And Orlando is a perfect example. When they were here, they sold like crazy because we have 3 teams around us. Right. We don't have our own team.
Right.
You go to like a Wichita, you go to a big college town like a Gainesville or something like that, and you move into places where football is established but in a different way, and it can work.
Right. I also think dovetailing off of the problems that the NFL has had this season would be something that Vince could capitalize on. Because if I were Vince, and granted, you and JB are the football people, I like sports, I follow it, but I'm not in it like you guys are.
Yeah.
So it's harder for me to ignore the big glaring issues politically. And I think that if Vince comes in and says, okay, we're going to start this football league, but here's some things we're going to play by the rules. Nobody's taking a knee. We're going to be very patriotic because Vince is very patriotic all the time. We're going to uphold the standards that the NFL is supposed to be upholding, but the commissioner's not making the players uphold, and the coaches and the ownership. We're just not going to do that. We are going to be pro-America. And if you want to have personal beliefs, that's fine. Do it off the game site. You can do it at home. You can do it on Twitter. You can do it anywhere you want to, except here. And that's just what we're going to be. If that's not what you want to do, this is not the place for you. Because he is great about building characters, even if nobody believes that crap. And they're still just, they're all John Cena'd out. That's the characters. That's sport.
Well, like one of the things he can step up for right now, he has, if he started the league tomorrow, he already has a PR war he can win immediately.
Absolutely.
You're talking
with that piece.
Because the rumor for next year for the NFL is they're going to leave the teams in the locker room for the national anthem.
That's disgusting to me.
I'm
sorry.
That is one of the rumors now, is they're going to tell the teams not to come out at all, and they'll do the national anthem and then the team introduction.
That's disgusting to me.
And he could stand up and go, nope, my players are going to be out there and they're going to stand.
Yeah.
The other thing is what the XFL did well. It got a little crazy, but what they did well was letting the players be themselves. And that's the NFL is starting to get that way with the whole, they've relaxed a lot of the touchdown celebrations, and we're seeing a lot more of that. And that's what you see on SportsCenter, and that's what you see in packages now of these great celebrations. You know, this year, guys played Duck, Duck, Goose on the field after a touchdown, and it was played for 3 weeks in a row on several places. It was hysterical.
Right.
And the guys are being creative, and they're having fun with it.
Right.
And that's one of the things the NFL has lost and is bringing back, trying to, is bringing that fun back to the game.
Right.
And that's one thing that he could jump on right now.
Absolutely. He could apply some of the stuff that he learned from the previous incarnation of the XFL and use it here. I just really think that making the decision to say, okay, this is what we're going to be.
Yeah.
And just having the rule, guys. And if you're listening and you're railing against me right now, just hear me out. I am 150% free speech. This is a podcast. I say what I want to a lot of the times, much to my chagrin. Everybody should have their opportunity to speak. But when I'm on the job, I'm working.
Yeah.
And my personal beliefs take a back seat. And I really think that if you're trying to make a political statement, be a megastar and then make your statement somewhere else. And Vince comes out and says, we're going to start a league. We're going to run it counter, just like you said, counter
season,
counter to the season, the NFL.
You don't want to compete.
At ESPN and all the other sports channels will be like, thank you, God, because there's really nothing else except NASCAR and basketball. Nothing against basketball and NASCAR.
Yeah.
Baseball doesn't start for another couple weeks. So, I think everybody would be happy about that. Secondly, you say, look, we're all going to be in America. We're going to be an American Football League, and we're going to treat it as such. We're going to be very patriotic. We're going to be very respectful of the flag. We're going to let our players be themselves. We're going to create more characters by letting them do their thing with rules, because I think that's where they got off the first time around. It became more about he hate me. Let me do all my crazy shtick while I'm running. Play the freaking game. Yeah. Because I'm paying to see football. And then turn right around and say, and guys, we're going to have more fun. We're going to make a lot of money, and we're going to play some great ball. And I think that the American people would probably get behind it. Going into smaller cities, I think the American people would eat that up.
The other thing I think they can do, and is I do think they can partner with the NFL in a way. And it's one thing the XFL couldn't pull off. And when they did the XFL the first time, the NFL was so powerful and so overwhelming, they weren't vulnerable. You can go to them now, I think you can pull this off. My opinion is, okay, I'm going to use Orlando as an example. Okay. Just because this is where I live and it's an easy example we're going to give you. Let's say we have a team in Orlando again. You go to the NFL and say, hey, look, your teams have rookies and players, second or third year players that you want to develop. So you say, okay, fine, we're going to make regional teams. So now the Orlando team, Miami, the Bucks, and Jacksonville can send who they want. Doesn't send anybody. There's no minimum, there's no maximum. They can send players they want to Orlando to develop more. You have them play in the off season. So when the season does come around, these guys are more developed. It becomes a rookie league, and it becomes a B league for the NFL to develop these players. You make regional teams, and what it also does is it gives Dolphins, Bucks, and Jacksonville fans a reason to watch that teams. They're going to go, oh, John Smith, the guy that we picked up in the third round who never played this year, but he's going to play with that team. Okay, I'm going to watch that team because I want to see what he does.
Well, yeah, you got 4. In my opinion, I'm taking NASCAR. Okay, let's say 5. Let me put NASCAR. So 5. You got baseball, football, hockey, basketball, and NASCAR. Those are the top 5 sports. Am I wrong?
No, you're totally right.
Let's take off tennis, not a team sport. Golf, not a team sport. We're talking about the main team sports in the United States. Yeah. Okay,
that's
NASCAR, hockey, and baseball all have farm leagues.
Yep.
Basketball doesn't, and I think it hurts them.
No, they do. They have a D League.
Do they?
Yeah, they have a D League.
Seriously?
They have a D League, and they have a very good D League.
I did not know that.
The NFL.
How do I not know that?
The NFL is the only one without its farm teams. Yeah, they have. They have a D League. And they have
I'm an idiot.
And they have a good D League.
Okay, so they got a D League.
Yep.
Well, and the NFL does not. The NFL doesn't have anything. Nope. You can either go to Canada or not.
Or Europe. Those are the only 2 choices you have.
So it makes perfect sense. And that's brilliant because you can treat the XFL like NXT.
Mm-hmm.
you build up your players and then they go up and come down, just like they do with the hockey teams. I paid great money to go see tons of Gladiator games in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Even when Atlanta had a major league team, the Gladiators are more fun to watch.
Because you build it up in a way that you say, okay, we don't want your stars. I want your third string guys that you want to make stars.
Right.
And you use those teams to build those following. But then you fill it in with the guys that didn't make the teams. Because you're not going to get a full roster off of that.
It could be a second, third chance for guys.
Exactly. And that's the thing and that's the other thing is you sell it to the NFL this way too. Like, look, let's say you say, okay, every team can send 3 players, let's say, as a maximum. The rest of us going to be filling nothing else. But then you say, okay, those teams that are connected to the Orlando team, they have first right to any other player on the roster that they think is rightful.
Yeah, maybe a guy didn't do well in the combine.
Exactly.
Maybe he had some issues he's overcoming. And it's a great way to elevate guys.
Yep.
My thing would be is Vince would probably want to work with the teams as well as far as coaching staffs, because you don't want guys coming in. This is where maybe this is another step for college guys who are college coaches who are trying to come in, start to learn the NFL system.
Exactly.
And then they can go up to the NFL as well. So you don't have the problems like what's his name? He was at Florida, now he's at Ohio State.
Saban?
No, God, not Nick Saban. But Nick Saban had that problem too. Yeah.
But the thing is you have the opportunity to make a developmental league off season. And I don't want it to be, now I don't want it to become NFL light. I don't want it all NFL, but you can have that connection to it.
Sure, yeah.
And you let Vince run, and then you let the players be. Arena football does okay.
Yeah.
But big scale football is still fun. I'll tell you what, I'll admit it. I have tickets to the Tampa Bay Bucks. I have season tickets. I go to almost every home game. As many as I can,
You have my condolences.
They're horrible. But I'll tell you right now, if they announced an Orlando XFL team, I would end up adding them.
Sure. Absolutely.
I would go. I love live football.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting proposition right now for them.
Right. Okay. So that's the football piece. We've talked a little bit about the movie piece.
Yep.
Expanding a little bit more into the movies.
Movie and TV.
I was going to say the very next thing that Vince needs to look at is TV.
Yeah.
His writing is not great. No. I think they tested the waters a little bit with the network, with some of the live shows with the wrestlers. They did Table for Three,
the Legends House.
They also did the thing with the
Ride Along.
But I'm talking more about the what was the guys they partnered with, Jackass.
Swerved.
That
was horrible though.
They've tested the waters a little bit. Some of it's great, some of it's not so good. If Vince were to go out and say, "Hey, I want to do a TV show,"
they've kind of done that with Total Bellas and Total Divas,
correct,
and tested the waters with that.
But what I'm saying is Vince wanted to do like a half-hour scripted comedy or a 1-hour drama. He could do that, and then what happens is just like they used to do with Psyched and all those USA TV shows.
Bring all the guys in a special.
Big Show shows up and like he plays a part for a week or two. But maybe this is an opportunity for some of those guys who are really, the John Cenas of the world and the Miz's of the world who, yes, great wrestlers, but this could be their launching pad to greater things.
Well, okay, I'll give you, I don't see a drama working, but an idea I've had in the past is you do a Office / Parks and Rec style show, and you get actors, not real guys, but they're on the road crew.
Sure.
In other words, it's that documentary sort of comedy style, but the guys are on the road putting the ring up and putting the stage up and interacting with the guys.
Sure.
That would probably do really well because you could have guys come in and out.
Right.
The actors are the main part, but then you have the guys come in and out. But they have the goof because there's tons of goofy stories from backstage.
Yeah, you could interact with Vince. You can interact with the stars. You can interact with.
Yep.
You can have them botching storylines on the show. I mean, that would be that's a really good idea.
And you could spread it out. You could have one catering guy who's friends with the ring setup guy, who's friends with the pyro guy, and you could have that joke where the pyro guy sets off the wrong pyro one time. Well, they don't have pyro anymore, so I guess that wouldn't work. Okay, music guy. You have the music guy play the wrong music, and you have him, and then you already have the arena set up. So you could say, just like they did when they filmed like the KFC commercials, you could film those segments in the arenas and say, hey, by the way, we're filming for whatever you want to call it, WWE backstage, and you film those segments live in the arena, so it gives it that real feel.
Right.
and then you edit it into it. But
Yeah,
I
they
would
got
love
commercial time anyway.
Yeah, I would love to see like a documentary comedy style show.
Yeah, good idea.
Where it's the guys backstage and they just happen to interact with it, but it's all actors. I don't want the real guys.
Oh yeah, no. But you see, there's a lot of things you could do, and WWE Entertainment is branching out into music.
Oh yeah,
videos and stuff, and there's a lot that could be done there with that. So let's go ahead and talk about what's the third rail that we were mentioning that Vince would go ahead and start getting into.
Well, I mean, the other thing is I see them expand the network more.
Yeah.
And that would be, and that's where I think their next big step is.
Right.
Is expand the network into more than what it is. Number one of the things I'm disappointed is they don't have their movies on the network. Make the network a streaming service, not the WWE network. Make it what it I mean, I love having the network, but give me the option to watch all of these movies. Give me the option to watch shows like that.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the option. One of the biggest things we got excited about last year is they're talking about bringing in like an ROH or a New Japan.
Yeah.
Make the network a destination, not just your network.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would help them develop past the live shows, past Raw and SmackDown, and have the solidification. Plus, it would give them power when they're negotiating their TV deals. They can go, look, I got 5 million people on my own streaming service. What the hell do I need you for? I can put my own shows on there and survive.
Right.
And I think that's where the next evolution for them needs to come, is looking at the network not as where we run our pay-per-views and where we have our archives of our old shows, is what we can turn it into.
Right. I agree.
Southpaw Regional Wrestling is a perfect example of something they could do on the network.
There's a show they could write.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of a show they could have taken from YouTube. It doesn't have to be a half hour. It can be 15 minutes. But you turn into a 15-minute, once-a-month show on the network that exists, and you pull people in that way.
Right. I totally agree. There's so much content out there that an infusion of cash from Vince McMahon could help. TNA's getting, changing there.
Yep.
ROH could certainly use it. Several of the British, we talked about this before. The British wrestling show needs to happen.
Bring in New Japan. Partner with New Japan and be like, look, instead of being competitors, let's work together. They want a foothold in the United States, and they're having an issue because right now, nothing against them and nothing against Mark Cuban.
Right.
But no one gives a crap about the Access Network because no one knows what the Access Network is.
True.
But if you told me tomorrow, and let's say I didn't have the network yet, and you told me tomorrow, hey, by the way, as of the first year, we're going to have New Japan, so Wrestle Kingdom 12 is going to be live on the network?
Yeah.
I'll pay your $9.99 a month
I'd pay $19.99 a month
to watch Jericho versus Kenny Omega.
I'm literally just looking on the Access trying to find out if they're going to show that show or not.
They're going to show it like 3 days later, and they're not going to show all the matches. But that's what I'm saying. But not every network, not every cable system carries it.
Right.
I think the last thing I heard, they're only like 40% of the TVs in the country have it.
I know.
Whereas with streaming, you can do whatever you want. And I think that's looking at that network as not necessarily your archive. And that's the problem. I think they're looking at it as an archive, not its future. And I really do think the network is their future.
Right. There's so many things that could be done with the network that I think that the E is going to lose their TV deal. And if they don't,
I think it's going to get pared down. I don't think they're going to lose it, but I think it's going to get pared down.
Yeah. And so they're going to have to take a lot of the shows off of TV. And I think talking about some of the things we talked about earlier, where if they didn't do the touring shows, going into the big cities, they went to the smaller cities, or if they picked 2 or 3 venues and they were basing most of their video taping out of, like, TNA's got their new thing they're doing up in Canada, but they're still doing a lot of stuff here at Universal.
They're coming back to Universal.
Plus, there's a third venue that they're going to that I can't remember where they're going to, but they're doing like 2 or 3 venues that they're filming all of their shows on, and then they'll do some special events. Their WrestleMania. Yeah. So I think if the E did that, I think that would be something really, really unique. I think that would be beneficial. I really see the network becoming, we're going to put these things on, and you pay $9.99 for the archives and stuff. If you want to see this special event, you have to pay $5 more. I could see doing that. I wouldn't have no problem paying an extra $5-10 to see WrestleMania.
Well, you have layers to it. You can say, for just the archives, it's $99. But if you want the live event, it's $15.99.
Yeah, it's $15.99.
If you want, whatever's next, it's
$24.99.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. I agree with you. And that would not be a bad idea if they said, okay, fine, we're going to stop touring Raw and SmackDown.
Right.
Because they admit it costs them, they pay for itself, but it does cost them quite a bit.
Sure.
I still want it live, but you can move into a place like Orlando or something like that and tape it every week.
Right.
Have the guys not have to travel so much. Maybe do a few house shows, but then the pay-per-views go on the road and they do become, like you said, instead of going to Chicago twice a year, you go to Chicago for SummerSlam, for example.
Right.
That place is going to be packed because they're going to know it's the one time they get to watch it.
Right. And that's the thing. The thing about WrestleMania, the tagline is it's a spectacle.
Yeah.
Well, every pay-per-view is trying to be a spectacle.
Well, but they do a good job, though, because the spectacle of WrestleMania has always been is that's where they go to the biggest venue of the year.
Correct.
And that's how they promote it, and that's how they sell. There's a reason they're going to New Orleans this year, and they're going to sell at the Superdome.
Right.
But if you took the Royal Rumble or Survivor Series or SummerSlam into there, you wouldn't sell out.
Correct.
If you did it multiple times a year. The reason it works is because it's once.
Right.
They went, that's the thing is that's what they need to look at is we don't need to be in, and that's the thing is it takes away the pay-per-view bigness. When they were in Chicago this last week,
right,
they've hosted several pay-per-views in that same arena.
Right.
Now you're holding Raw and SmackDown there.
Right.
Not saying they're bad, but it does kind of make you go, well, why do I need to pay the extra money to go to a pay-per-view to pay that ticket? Sure. When I go wait for Raw to come back.
Sure, absolutely. And they've pared everything down. There's no pyro.
Yep.
There's none of that kind of stuff. The only time there's pyro is WrestleMania.
Yep.
So, and I'm not saying that pyro makes the match, but what I'm saying is there's
adds to it.
They've taken so much away because of financial concerns.
Yep.
That Raw and SmackDown and a pay-per-view and a special event like the Beast in the East.
Yep.
They all feel the same thing. They're all the same. There's nothing unique about it. And then that's why when you look at the three shows, SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, what's the difference? Well, NXT's a little bit more engaging to me because it scratches the itches that I want. So,
but I also don't want them to do NXT where I don't want them taping them a block at a time.
Well, they're already doing that.
No, I'm talking about for Raw and SmackDown. I don't want them taping 6 Raws one night and then running them over several weeks.
Yeah, no, I don't want that either.
I like the idea that Raw and SmackDown are still every week. That's the only difference between SmackDown and NXT and Raw. That's the big difference with NXT is they do tape them in block format.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and I agree. That's why I like the not that I want everybody to move up to Connecticut, but I could certainly see them having a home base for a couple weeks.
But they have it here. I say they have it in Orlando already.
I understand.
They have built a southern home here.
Sure.
There's a reason that not only do NXT's here, a lot of the guys live here now because they were from NXT.
Sure.
So if you were to build a base, we're it. Like
Tampa, Orlando. That's it. That corridor's it.
Yeah.
So is that what Alpha Ventures or Alpha Media LLC?
They said TV. It says TV movie, and pro football.
Right.
So I'm assuming they're going to probably use it to develop. Now, the TV was the one that's surprising because they don't have a lot of TV like we talked about.
Well, they got Total Bellas, Total Divas. That's a partnership.
Yeah. And originally, Total Divas was not supposed to be on E, right? You've heard that story before.
Yeah, but I've forgotten it. Why don't you tell everybody?
So when Total Divas was developed, it was developed for the network. But the network took so long to finally come to fruition that they had interest from E to put it on there, and they finally decided, well, we want to get the show on the air. We don't want to waste it, and they threw it on E. It was never supposed to be on broadcast cable. It was supposed to be one of the flagship opening shows to the network.
Gotcha.
That's how it was developed. So they have the ability to develop shows like that. It just took too long. But remember, the network was in development for 6 years before it finally launched. So that's the thing is they have the ability to create content now with a place to put it. But I feel like they are making so much money off of Total Divas and Total Bellas, they don't want to anymore.
Yeah. Well,
and maybe this Alpha Entertainment is the solution to that problem.
Maybe. I love the name Alpha. It just totally makes sense with Vince McMahon and his ego. I'm the alpha.
Well, as long as it's not,
Alpha and Omega. That would be a problem.
That would be a problem. Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I mean, I'm excited. We're going to go in 2018. I want to see what they do with the XFL. I think it's going to take a couple of years. I don't think it's going to happen right away. It'll be 2020 before I think anything solid happens with it.
Unless there's been plans already made that they've
we don't
kept
know
under
about.
wraps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
which would be, I mean, Super Bowl's in a few weeks. So
yeah. You're going to announce it. Go ahead and do
you're
it.
gonna pull the trigger, Vince. Get on it.
There you go. Make sure, I do want to say this. Make sure you tune in next Monday. Because next Monday is our big show of the year. We're going to start out the year right, the second show of the year. We're going to do our Brewski Awards.
The Brewskis.
So we're going to, me, Irish, and JB when he's back.
Knock on wood.
We're gonna give out our awards for the year, the Brewski. So we're going to do their standard awards, best superstar, best woman superstar.
Yes.
But we're going to have some fun ones in there too.
Both of those awards this year are going to James Ellsworth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he also wins best chin.
Best chin.
Best chin.
He is the winner of the first ever women's Money in the Bank contest.
That's not right.
Anyway, moving forward.
All right. I would like to thank once again Ommegang Brewing Company.
Yes.
For your Game of Thrones Winter is Here Dubber White Ale. As you can tell by the rambles at the end of this episode, we finished it.
Yes, we did.
We finished it all. When you're ready to put your beer down.
Beer, you're so dumb you think he hate me is good English.
Make sure you head over to vintagepressing.com. Vintagepressing.com, where you can get drink coasters, luggage tags, phone cases, and more.
Make sure you find us over on Facebook, facebook.com/beers and body slams podcast. And also visit our website, beersandbodyslams.com, where you can see all of our show archives, all of our blog posts, and you can check out some of our amazing sponsors. You can also find us on the Untapped app. You can check out like English. You can see what we're drinking. If you wanted to, you can follow good old JB at good old JB.
You can also follow me at Mr. Fluffy as I try to make 2018 the year of 1,000.
And you can follow me as I try to treat my liver like Jar Jar Binks on a bender at the Irish O'Leary.
Jar Jar Binks be like on a bender?
Oh, me so hungover, sir.
Oh, God. Make sure you tune in next Thursday. We're going to talk about the first Raw and SmackDown of 2018. The Beast comes back.
Yay, he was just here last week.
Yeah, we're going to get him back. I'm sure he's going to talk about...
Jumping back and forth. And I'm going to do the big jump. There's no pyro.
We're going to get Heyman. That's the best part.
That's the best part.
We're going to get Heyman. And I'm sure he's going to talk about Braun Strowman and Kane. So bad.
And it was such a good show, too.
And like I said, make sure you tune in next Monday for our Brewski Awards, the second annual Brewski Awards.
Second annual Brewskis.
That's right. As always, make sure you get your pint glasses full and your body slam stiff.
You're fired.
You've been listening to the Beers and Body Slams podcast. Find us online at beersandbodyslams.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/Beers and Body Slams podcast. Until next time.
Have a nice day.